For me, being in the NFL, it was like you got your off season, you come back in the locker room, and here we go again. You know what I mean? It's season 2.
It's awesome as an actor and you know, as a fan, just to be able to work with them.
It's a great feeling to see your name on the call sheet with the biggest movie stars of all time. It's a big privilege. Yeah, amazing.
That thing belongs in a museum.
We all do.
We've done enough films in our life that some we're happy about, some we're not happy about, but let's not blow this moment. Originally, when I got involved with writing The Expendables, I always thought that there'd be a possibility for a franchise. Usually when you work in a genre like this and you have all these kind of characters, I think it's smart to think beyond that particular episode, if you want to call it that.
Well, I believe the reason the first Expendables was so successful around the world was the fact that we were sort of getting back to a basics in terms of action. We just got back to, you know, that old-fashioned kind of action that people have missed, I think, throughout the years. And we had the actors who could pull that off.
We heard rumblings shortly after Expendables 1 finished, and there was already talk about a script to do Expendables 2. So I think the plans started and the wheels started turning almost immediately. And I think everybody anticipated that there's no way a movie with these guys in it could not be successful. So I think we fully expected it.
I had every deal that I was making from then on out was like, whatever you do, when Expendables 2 hits, I gotta go, you know?
This is different in scope and size. I mean, the first Expendables was gritty and down to earth, and I think this one has the same grittiness to it, but it just has more scope and more of a vista. You see a lot more on the screen.
The first one was kind of confusing in the sense that you're caught between a rock and a hard place, or it's a feathered fish. I didn't know exactly whether it was going to be semi-serious or you want to be more of a comedic tone, where the guy's going to actually perish, or is there going to be moments of introspection, or is this going to be comedy? So I just threw it all in there, and that's why the film, it didn't quite have as an even tone as the second one. The first one was more of experimental, and that's usually what happens when you're working with multiple characters like this. It takes a long time to figure out what kind of film you really want to make.
I think Sly came up with a great concept to, put together a team of guys like they used to in the Dirty Dozen and Pictures, that this audience now today haven't seen for a while.
But I think that camaraderie that Sly captured in the first one really worked. People liked that. They liked the jabs at each other, the poking fun of each other, and locker room talk, if you will. Guys that are on a team, anybody who's been on a team anywhere understands. You know each other so well, you know exactly where those buttons are and how to push them. And I think they took the things that worked in the first movie and they amplified them in the second movie.
You're not doing what I think you're doing!
Yeah, I am!
Let's do it!
Come on, let's move! I always thought that there was room, obviously, for improvement, and getting Arnold and Bruce back in there and bringing in Chuck Norris and Von Damme, it just lends itself to more of a spectacle. The thing was now, to be able to do all that and direct it at the same time, it was way too much, way too ambitious.
You know, considering the first one almost killed Sly, I mean, while we were doing it, you're talking about a man who faced almost every injury in the book, every pressure in the book. This was a labor of love on his behalf, but it was so grueling. And it was hard to watch, I think, for a lot of the guys on the set. It was hard to watch one man go through all of that.
The first one was pretty labor intensive, and I learned from that if we're gonna go any further with that, it's just no way to be able to run in front of the camera, jump and look at the position of 7 cameras at the same time, come back and try to be somewhat lucid. It's too much.
Simon, for me, is the perfect fit for the movie. He is a guy who knows action, and I know he knows action down to the finest beats.
And they're both teaming up to collaborate and put their collective geniuses together. Simon is a great shooter. You know, he's used to shooting big multi-camera action pictures.
My process is to storyboard all the action, and I get the stunt coordinators to get together and the stuntmen, and we work out in very fine detail what the action sequences are going to be. And it takes months. I mean, it probably takes about 3 months of prep for those action sequences.
But more than that, he is also an action character director. He gets performance out of action stars. And in this film, more than anything, he understands the humor between the guys, how to get the performance, how to get the humor, and how to make it all come together.
Boss face locked. Sky density of 1.852, melting point 44.2 centigrade. Guys, I want some gunpowder fast.
Do it. The man's a chemical engineer, right?
And a full-blood scholar.
But I thought that the characters, now they have to be fleshed out more. You have to know a little bit more about them. And so I started to write a bit more for Dolph and trying to catch Arnold's tone and Bruce's tone because I've known them so long.
Knock, knock. Who's there? What are you, an owl?
I sort of understand the rhythms.
I actually turned to him for character development and the dialogue.
Cut me loose, Frankenstein.
Because that's what Sly's so good at. And he knew these characters and he knew the actors from the first one. So I would constantly, during the shoot, turn to him and say, what would this guy say here? And because action movies, a lot of it is made up as you go along, or things change, or you see an opportunity.
The second one caught, I think, everyone's tempo, their natural pace, the way the audience, I believe, perceives them or wants to see them. That wasn't so evident in the first one. The second one was.
And Sly's, you know, an old master at the movie one-liners.
Let's all agree we're making a movie here that is a kind of a retrospective of some of our more well-known moments.
Hey, Trent, it's been a while. Who's next? Rambo?
So yeah, we just threw them in. Sometimes I think we maybe might have gone a little too far.
I'll be back. You've been back enough. I'll be back.
Yippee-ki-yay.
But yeah, say let's use the baggage instead of trying to hide it, because we're not going to hide it. People are coming to see the baggage.
If I don't get this back, your ass is terminated.
In your dreams.
This was a much more relaxed Sly than all the hats he was wearing in the first one, and as stressed out as he was for the first one. So we as actors got to spend more time with Sly this time.
The first movie, it was hard, man. I mean, to see a guy almost kill himself while he's making a movie, I knew he needed that kind of, you know, respite where he could sit back and be a great actor and help us with our characters. And that's exactly what ended up happening on Expendables 2. He was there with the characters, he was there with the script, he was there with almost everything else. And then Simon handled all the film work and heavy lifting of how these scenes are gonna play out, how big this thing is gonna be. And it was a match made in heaven. I loved it.